I was just reading an article about Generation Z and how they're struggling in the workplace. And personally, I think it really goes back to the classroom. It's incumbent upon us to implement some changes in our classroom so that these students are employable and can be productive citizens in society. Now, some of it may have a COVID component to it because they're talking about this particular article blasted a lot of recent college graduates, and a lot of them have had some social anxiety of adapting to um, basically to work life. But some things we can do in our classroom to help fill this void and get students back to where they need to be as far as employability and productive workers are the following. One, we need to spend some time focused on professionalism, basically demanding excellence out of them for the work they turn in. An easy one that anybody can implement into their classroom is punctuality. One of the big complaints that employers had is that workers are not showing up to work on time and they're getting fired. Well, that begins in the classroom, and there's a lot of teachers. One of the personality traits of a teacher is that we care and we want to nurture students to the best of our ability, and therefore we allow them to make mistakes without accountability sometimes because we're worried that they're going to not respond to the accountability or the consequences that well. But it begins with making the students show up on class in time. If they don't, give them attention. Whatever your school's policy is, follow it strictly. I am so strict with my students on punctuality. It's not even funny, but they're fine with it. I'm teaching them good habits that will help them be successful later in life. It's important that we stress these things and get on the same page because we're not doing them any favors. It's more important to me that I produce a great citizen who's going to be successful later in life than to have them like me on that particular day. As a matter of fact, I can tell you some people don't respond well when they get tardy for being 5 seconds late. I get it. Do I really want to give it to them? No. But I care more about them being successful in life uh, than I do about how they feel about me at that particular minute. And it's the same thing with being a parent. I'm not my kids' friends, I'm a parent. Dress. We need to enforce dress code. That's another thing that is getting Generation Z people fired is they're not dressing professionally. We've really got to implement and enforce the dress codes. Language. I hear it in the halls all the time. People dropping F-bombs, and it's become commonplace to the point where there's no accountability when students are talking that way in the halls. It's difficult when you don't know the student's name to track them down and correct them. Now, sometimes I do, but it's something we all need to work together on is making sure that students, and sometimes I'll have a town hall in my class where I will talk about all of these things. As a matter of fact, probably next week now that I'm making a video about this, I will sit down and talk to them about all these things, these headwinds facing Generation Z um, workers that is keeping them from being employed. Work ethic. I've been doing this 3 decades, and we've gone from hardworking to quality of life. A lot of people focused on quality of life. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have a work ethic. It means that you need to find balance in some fashion, but you still need to work. Accountability. We need to dole out consequences. I'm going to film a whole video just on accountability. There need to be consequences for breaking rules and not completing your work. It drives me crazy when students fail a test and say, "Can I retake it?" And I'm like, "No, I'll allow you to retake it for half credit and other things, but there needs to be accountability." Now, I get the flip side of that, which is the goal of testing is to get students to assess where they're at and then correct it. But there needs to be accountability for not studying for it in the beginning. Teamwork. If you've been in the classrooms lately, after COVID, we have a cooperative learning crisis, and I'm going to put a link to a video about that as well. And we really need to focus on, especially on the lower quartile kids. Our high performers are working well as teams for the most part, from what I can see in my classes. But I teach all levels. I've got four AP classes and then three standard classes. And those standard classes, I have a number of students who are lower quartile. And it's my lower quartile kids have just put on the headphones, put in the earbuds, and detached themselves from society. We've got to re-engage them. We've got to get that fixed. Resiliency. I'm also going to record a video about it's okay for students to fail. They need to learn how to fail. They need to learn how to fail. Nobody successful in life has gone through life without failing multiple times and then being resilient and learning from their mistakes. Again, I'll film another video about that and put that in here. And then coachability. It's important that students, we teach them how to be coachable. And I'm not sure I have the exact answers for that right now. I'll spend some time thinking about that, but that's something to focus on getting into your class as well, as far as teaching them to be coachable, implement change, and not be defensive. And I think that's the thing, is to teach them not to be defensive and to be willing to listen to instruction and implement change. These are some of the things, the headwinds facing our Generation Zers and the students that we have in our classes right now. Let's focus on getting them changed. Again, some simple things that you can do tomorrow are basically have them show up on time, make sure they're dressed appropriately, and when they use foul language in the classroom, don't just ignore it. Say something to them and explain to them the importance of carrying themselves professionally, and that this is how they're being viewed. And when they get a job, they're eventually going to have to do these things on a daily basis. Once students get in the habit of dropping the F-bomb left and right, it's difficult for them to turn it off. Keep being heroes. Have a great school year. Talk to you soon. Colster out.